All right, welcome to the VET S.O.S podcast. Remember, don't drown the sea of transition and grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline. Today, we're sitting down with an oldie but goodie. We have a friend of the podcast, Matthew Wee, sitting down with us. He is the new president of Vets Industry, an organization we highlighted in season 1. Excited to have him on here. And honestly, I think, Keith, we need to take a little bit of credit for Matthew's coming out. Like, at that MIC, where we had him and Kingsley on stage, that was really Matthew's coming out party to the world. Like he started getting involved in everything. I mean, since then, you've seen him on boards of directors. You've seen him everywhere, man. That dude is all kinds of, plugged into the veteran space. So I'm excited we got to play a little bit of part of that and get him out of his comfort zone on the podcast. So now he's here starring in it, and this is going to be great. But more importantly, I'm keeping this man pumped up with caffeine because due to his layoff, he doesn't have the stamina he once had, when it came to podcasting, doing these back-to-back episodes. So we're trying to keep him up for this. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good, man. I forgot how podcasting is basically PT for introverts. But and I should, coming off this sabbatical, I should have paced myself. Sabbatical Keith would have paced himself, but current Keith just straps in and prays for your editing skills. But yeah, I'm running on espresso and poor planning, so the mic is on and I'm committed. So let's do this, brother. I will just say too, I've known Matthew for a while, and I used to say he was the youngest looking 20-year Marine Corps vet I've ever seen, but retirement's aged him a little bit. He's not the young spry Matthew I remember from a few years ago. But no, it's good to have you on the show, brother. I'm really looking forward to this episode and all the things that are going on at V2I. So,
well, maybe it's the same thing as you being president of the United States. How many of the presidents come in, with one color hair, they leave with solid gray hair. So maybe being the president of V2I, is aging Matthew here. So we'll see. But let's jump into the intro real quick. We got Matthew Wee sitting down with us. He's a Marine Corps veteran with 20 years of service and current president of the Vets Industry Foundation. His career spans the United States Marine Corps, United States House of Representatives, United States Department of Defense, and the United States Department of State.
That's where the age comes from. All that stuff. Yeah, that'll age you. All those jobs. Sorry.
He's passionate about connecting veterans, service members, and their families to the resources, relationships, and opportunities they need to succeed. Under his leadership, Vets Industry continues to expand as a nationwide platform, providing a free resource library and community-driven support. He leads with a people-first approach, grounded in the service, access, and impact. Man, Matthew, I'm so glad to have you on here again. I know we joke with you and pick on you a little bit, man, but you're a dear brother to me and one of those pillars in this community that does so much. So welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Good. It's good to be here virtually and see you guys again. I mean, like you said, an introduction to the VET S.O.S podcast was in person, so it was 3 of you and Kingsley. So that's a lot.
You ganged up on me a little bit. Yeah, it was great. And you and Kingsley, man, y'all knocked it out of the park. So yeah, you definitely cut your teeth that day.
Yeah, thank you.
No, that was I don't know, man. At the MIC, we've had some great interviews. We've had a lot of fun there, and each one's been special in its own way. And it's a great event. Looking forward to it again this year. So unfortunately, I don't think we're broadcasting this year, so it'll be they're doing something else. But it'll be great to see everybody and find some new guests and things like that. So, but anyway, that's about the show. We don't need to talk about that here, Matthew. We're here to talk about you and V2I. So let's start with your transition out of the Marine Corps. How'd that go?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting experience because if you know Marines, we're not really the most, when it comes to different things, we're a little bit more stubborn, I guess you could say. So, I was approaching my 20 years, I was a staff sergeant. I couldn't get the next rank of gunnery sergeant, and I was trying to stay in longer to get that. But this was also during the time frame of when COVID started to happen in 2020. And then, so it kind of forced my hand to, to figure things out. But also, I also was not really trying to do stuff in the military. I didn't really know much about all that. But I was doing all the volunteer stuff everywhere else. But not really thinking about my own transition until I started spending my own money and then wasting a lot of time and efforts on that. Then finally did my transition courses, which was on WebEx in 2020. In Virginia Beach. So that was always fun. But I think that made me reach out to thousands of different organizations that definitely brought me where I need to be. And I definitely don't think I would be here without all that. and all the people I met along the way, talking to you, Sean, and Keith, and Bruce, and Alfredo, and everybody that, pushed me in the right direction, Hope and Vets Industry, 4 Block was one of the organizations I started with. But I would say my transition was definitely interesting, where I was definitely stubborn, didn't want to leave the Marine Corps, didn't want to leave all that, because it was 20 years of my life. When I was 18 years old is when I first joined. And so it was just finally had to decide to make it work, and did these calls in Veterati where I was able to figure out and talk to people, and made my journey up to the DC. So yeah, all I say is my transition was probably normal to a lot of people, but if you add in COVID time frame, you add in all that stuff, and being a stubborn Marine, it was now fun, but it was still painful.
No, absolutely. And I was fortunate to transition after the major COVID stuff, but I've heard we've heard a lot of stories on the show about people who transitioned during COVID and just a nightmare that it was. And I guess you could probably equate that to a degree to like the kids, and they were graduating their senior year that year too. And, their whole senior year kind of went up in flames, and they had to figure things out. And, so yeah, COVID definitely had a huge impact on a lot of things, but, no, like I said, I have been impressed with you and your trajectory, because you have just continued to get out there and do stuff, and and half the stuff you do, like, nobody even knows you're doing until they see you. You're like, hey, I think it was that Mick, actually. I'm like, nobody knew you were volunteering that year, and you're running around like with your head on fire and trying to, do everything that had to be done in the background. And, next thing you know, I see you on boards of directors, and, I heard through the grapevine that you're new president of V2I. I'm like, man, this guy's everywhere. So just absolutely love it, man. Love the fact that, even though you were hard-headed at the beginning, you've stayed plugged in. You stay, listening to ideas and thoughts, and people, prodding you along, if you will, in certain directions, saying, hey, you might be good at this, or you might want to try this. And, it's just fantastic to see that, you're open to hearing things, and trying things. So, but let's not waste any time, man. I know you as the new president, you got a lot of things on your plate. And V2I is trying to do a lot of things. So let's talk V2I, Vets Industry. Tell us about the org, and then, fill us in on some things that you guys have got going on.
Yeah. So, I mean, Veteran Street probably, been around for about 5 or 6 years. And I first, like I said, started going to it as just a community member, attending the events when it was like 5-hour, these networking events online on Saturdays, learning everything. And that's where I kind of continued to learn about the education, the organization and education value, along with many other organizations at the same time. So everything started to blend together. But as a community member, like I said, I was just learning everything. And then eventually I decided to volunteer, help behind the scenes. Didn't really want to transition to like leadership roles or anything like that. But as people started to know me, I became, started doing the managerial volunteer roles, leading events and coordinating efforts. All of a sudden, they were looking for a director of events. I was just more interested in just supporting kids still, and that happened where I started helping out with managing the events, making sure that the networking events were going well, finding the people, finding the right tools to use, while also still transitioning in different job markets where I was, doing stuff with as a contractor in the Department of Defense, a fellow on the Hill, and then trying to do all this stuff. But yeah, I'd say Vesto Industry has definitely been growing from where it used to be, where we definitely focus on the library, focus on the events. And what I'm trying to do now with Vesto Industry is continue to focus on the people first, family, veterans and family always, which also includes, reaching out to different organizations, building the relationships, building the connections, finding people and organization companies that want to support, want to do that. And I've been doing that mostly in my spare time while still working a full-time position, full-time job, trying to cut things down. But I'd say we're in a trajectory where we're sponsoring, partnering with organizations that you heard of or you may not hear of, but more trying to bring them in the limelight and also gather them together and bridge that gap of what I've been seeing in these past 5 or 6 years. Like you're saying, I'm sitting here looking at everything, seeing how sometimes the community can be toxic to each other. And that's not my goal. My goal is to bring everybody together regardless of who they are, regardless of what they bring. If we do the same thing, oh well, we'll work together. And that's where I bring forward the vets industry. And they helped me out when I was, when I had to leave the Department of State as a GS employee when my limited non-career appointment ended. They gave me a small contractor role, and then offered the presidency role, which I was hesitant on taking. Didn't think I was going to be good at it. But the stuff I was doing before I was president, I was doing anyway. And them just telling me all that, Carmen and Han and Joel and even Dan, everybody in the team of vets industry was like, well, you'll be good at it. Just got to believe in yourself. And I'm been one of those now where I will do it. Like, I'll say yes. Like, I did not think I was going to be on the podcast in person at the MIC, standing there on stage. And hey, and I got a haircut before I went on stage, so I don't know.
You did. You absolutely did.
And he hasn't gotten one since.
Yeah.
So, I'm kidding. So, you're like my little brother, man. I love you. So, where was I? Now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so two things I got a question, but first I just want to talk about. There's a great highlight here. I think that a lot of service members don't want to necessarily hear. And my journey was very similar. It's basically what I call volunteering your way into a job, right? Because you even said I was doing all these things in other jobs and stuff, but you essentially with V2I, you volunteered your way into where you are now. And my journey is very similar. I volunteered my way into landing a job where I'm at, with my organization. And again, like service members, I tell them that though. It's like you may not be passionate about your first few jobs, right? But if you're passionate about something, go make the dedication to do it on the side, and things will open up for you. So I think that's a big piece for folks to hear in transition. That hey, yeah, if do what you love as a volunteer if you need to, just because that'll build the resume, that'll build the skills, that'll do all these other things. So that's great. And my question back to your role, right? So because you mentioned working with organizations, and there's thousands of veteran resources out there, and a lot of noise. And how do you decide which organizations and opportunities kind of make the cut for V2I, or at least the V2I ecosystem, and which ones you kind of quietly stiff arm and keep at a distance?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because a lot of times the way I am is I like to look at the website, attend their events, become part of be part of the ecosystem, be part of everything that the organization does, and then reach out after that, or I build that network, I build the family, I build the familiar thing. That's because that's normally what I like to do. Like a lot of these organizations, for example, like Iraq, Afghanistan Veterans America, Hill Vets, the Purple Heart Foundation, Washington Tattoo, and then many other ones like Travis Manion Foundation. These are all Project. All these organizations I've actually been volunteer with, supported, and know what they are. Like, and the ones and then I'm able to reach out through their contact list, through people I know, and build that familiar relationship where they know about me more than I know about them, which is interesting. The ones that I don't know organizations of, I'll reach out through the contact list. We can sit on a call, and then I'll just tell my story, and then just build from there. I mean, it's never really had a bad call with people, with organizations. Never had anything that negative to say about myself or them. So that's a great thing. I mean, I'm all about finding the organization, knowing what they are, but it's more about building those relationships, building those connections, more so than seeking out a resource just to put on the list. I want to be able to know what the organization does and how they do things, and that's where I find more important is what's that about? Is can I build a relationship with these individuals? And it's not just a transactional relationship. We're doing something for the veteran, the military, and their families. And that's to me, that's all about that. I don't really care about anything else, as long as we can support those families and those stubborn people like myself, the Marines, who just want to do everything by themselves. And you got to tell them, stop being stupid and seek assistance.
And for the record, just to help you out, it's not just Marines. They support all services.
Yeah.
But no, so I mean, V2I was a big part of my transition, and I volunteered with them for a little while. And like I said in the intro, we've had them on the show before. So definitely love the organization, the fact that, you guys are still trying to help our community. And that's so important because you guys have a huge reach, a very large network, tons of followers and everything. So you're able to make an impact with just about anything you try to do. So what's the near term, let's say next 2 years look like? What are you guys trying to do? Anything, any big plans, any new launches, anything like that?
Yeah. So we're still continuing to do the website and the library, trying to increase that, collaborate with other companies and organizations, find all that stuff. And of course, our flagship event, which is the virtual networking circuit event, which is, once every month, either on a Tuesday or Saturday. It changes, but we also, came up with new initiatives these past couple of years, like our annual conference, which is 2 years on a cruise ship. This year, it's going to be in Orlando in a resort in August. Which we're trying to do is build an event where people can enjoy themselves, bring their families, still have the same stuff we need to do, like the career stuff, a career fair, and all that networking, the speakers, engagement, and all that. But one of our biggest events that we're working on this year in October is our Vestor Industry Action Summit in Washington D.C. at the University of District of Columbia. Like I said, in October, we're bringing organizations, companies, government, and other entities together to try to help find the actionable items to combat homelessness, underemployment, and tackle suicide prevention. So we're bringing all these organizations, the ones that we're going to have the ideas, action, everything, and also have an ability for people to input things into a portal where they can tell their stories. We can make these actionable things from using AI and other organizations, working with organization called Veterans Forge to help us out, and then many other things. I was able to reach out to my connections for University of District of Columbia to use their place because they have a good veteran location. So I wanted to do an event that in DC that's more focused on action and engagement. And then, just because I want to continue we want to continue to support while doing what we need to do. So, I mean, like I said, Vestor is growing and we're doing what we need to do, but it's also to continue to get better and figure out. But we're always going to be there, do our virtual events, in-person events, and then there'll be new things where we do happy hours, maybe in DC and in other places. We were growing chapters in other states. We have one in San Diego, California. We have in Dulles, Georgia, and then some other. We're trying to work one for Hawaii, and then forget what other states we're trying to do. But we're building it with our sponsors. We're trying to figure out, get more sponsors, and eventually I want to do this full time instead of part time because I enjoy what I do. And like you said, a couple of years ago when I first started, I didn't think I was going to be here, and I enjoy all this stuff where I get to speak to people and engage.
I mean, you said San Diego. You guys actually have a hard stand building in San Diego, right?
We do.
Is that still open?
It's still open, but we're transitioning it to virtual just because it's a little bit easier.
Okay. So I love the idea of trying to bring this community together. And I wish you the best of luck with this. It's not an easy task, I don't think. In my experience, everybody's pretty proud of the work they do, and think that they do it better than other people and don't necessarily want to play nice in the sandbox, right? So I always enjoy seeing the collaboration when people, come forward and want to work with other organizations, even if they do the same type of thing. And I'm really just ecstatic about the podcast community because most of the veteran podcast community supports each other. Like there's plenty of people to listen to all of us. So, just continuing to work together and have each other on each other's shows and promote other people. So I think that part's phenomenal. And I really hope that you guys can be that catalyst that starts to bring more people together, because we need it. We literally could probably be a handful of organizations versus 50,000 organizations if we all work together, right? But everybody needs to do their niche and their thing. So I get it. But okay, so man, you got a couple big events this year. That's pretty impressive. Um, any like major like platform things or anything like that you're looking to do in the near future?
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, the podcasting, where I think Vets Industry was doing that with our sister organization, Post Veterati, but more platform things is just definitely try to figure out how to bring Vets Industry to the more mainstream of things to be included. But that requires definitely a lot of work. Like you said, it's getting people to agree with these smaller organizations moving towards the forefront. But that's the biggest reason why we're doing the Action Summit, where I'm building connections with organizations that are really established to do these small little events that people do all the time, like these happy hours, or you just meet up at certain places. And being here in the Washington, D.C. area, where I got 3 different locations, Virginia, D.C., Maryland, there's so many different, like I said, so many different organizations, so many things to do. But being here, I'm around the ecosystem of, the Department of Veteran Affairs, the House of Representatives, the Capitol Congress, the White House, the President, the executive branch, all this legislation, judicial, all this stuff around me that I'm able to do with my friends who are pretty much in different categories of every single thing. Because I got friends in the military, veterans. I got people who only served in the State Department, people served in these type of environments. And that's my goal is just continue to grow Vets Industry where it can be that big connector that for that, but continue to reach out. And because there's no, like you said, we all may do the same things, but the whole goal is to take care of the veteran, the family, the military, the children, the father, the mother, the brother, the sister, all the families, the uncle, aunts, whatever. That's my whole goal, regardless of what goes on in the background. I mean, I really don't pay attention to all that. I only pay maybe a little bit, only to try to talk other people to continue to assist. But I really don't really find all that stuff interesting, to be honest.
Oh man.
Well, we're almost at time.
Yeah.
So yeah, time. Wow. I did want to just kind of do like, not a shameless plug. It's not for me, but you mentioned Veterans Forge, so I think that's awesome. I've actually had a few run-ins with them now, and I think they're an amazing organization. So yeah, that's cool. It's small world, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm come to connect with Robbie pretty well. So they're doing some amazing things for the military community in the AI sphere. So yeah, that's awesome stuff. So before we wrap it up, for the transitioning service members out there listening, what would you say is, if you could give a, not generic, but, try to make a one size fits all 30-day plan, like the first 30 days that they're like, all right, I'm getting out, I'm going to start transitioning. What's the best advice you could give for a 30-day plan?
I would say is this, like, stay connected, build those relationships. Those are very important. Take action early. I mean, do it before you're going on if you're retiring, before your personal, your transition time, your leave. Take that time, if you have the 90 days or whatever, to actually do, not, I mean, if you can't do a skill bridge, do something to prepare yourself. You got all these organizations out there that will provide you the resources you need. You got your transition, you got all this. But like I said, just stay connected, take action early. And then, of course, use, like I said, the resources that are out there. And then, most importantly, don't do it alone. don't think you can just handle it by yourself, because there's no way you can do that. It's just going to drive you insane. But also, don't try to do everything. And I'm very guilty of trying to do everything. But listen to your spouses, your partners, and take their advice, and family and friends, and talk to them, and to bring you to the grounded where you're not trying to do everything, because it's going to drive you crazy. It's going to drive them crazy, and it's going to make you more stressed out there. So I'd say, yes, those things are just be connected, take action, and just use the resources, and definitely don't do it alone. You have people out there that'll help you.
Great advice. Yeah. And we say it almost every episode, right? Yeah. Build a community, build a board of advisors, get mentors, all that kind of. Because there's no shortage of us out there. You gotta get out there and ask. So look for us. So, Sean, I'm gonna give you Jerry's final thought moment.
I mean, this is one of those organizations that has been doing this a long time and has touched so many veterans. So many people have played a part in this one. And it's great to see that they continue their mission and continue to expand and grow and try to find new ways to help our community. And just, excited to see where you're going to take it, Matthew. And, like I said, I wish you the best of luck with bringing the community together, man. That would, you pull that one off, we're going to put you in for the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But no, in all seriousness, I wish you the best of luck with everything you're doing as president in your new role, and just keep driving forward and doing it the way you do it, man, because that's what we all respect and love. So, so glad you joined us today.
Yeah, absolutely, Matthew. Thank you so much for coming on. And before we wrap it up completely, go ahead and let folks know how they can get in touch with you, where they can find V2I's resources, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so the biggest thing to get involved with VET2 Industry, just go to our website, vet2industry.org, explore the free resources, join an event. It's only 2 hours every Tuesday or Saturday or once a month. So, I mean, there's a lot to do. You can check out our socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X, and other places. You even have stuff on TikTok too as well. Look at our resources, look at our events. We're out there. We're continuing to help people out. Like I said, my whole goal is the mantra of VET Industry, which is people first, veterans and their family always. And that's how we will lead, and that's how we will continue to move the community forward. And that's one of my goals is to do all that, is to be that connector. And it's something I've been doing my entire life. Even before I was transitioning, I was always a big volunteer. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was always doing stuff with a submarine program, community involvement, everywhere I went, even when I was overseas in different countries and different locations. So it's been my life, and it amplified even more during my transition, where I was going to go try to do things myself, but like I kept saying, is you can't do it alone, and that's what I believe in, and continue to do, and take my faith that as a Catholic, and believe in God, and He pushed me in the right direction, and my family and friends, and I'll continue to do that. And I believe wholeheartedly to bring this community together, because I don't want to see splinters in what we're trying to do.
Powerful stuff right there. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's been such an honor to, like I say, I kind of see you as a little brother. It's been such an honor to see you. You weren't too far behind me in transition, but to see that you say you're stubborn, but there's also a grind there, right? That dedication. You put in the work and the time and the effort, and it's definitely coming out. Paying back, the return on investments is huge for you. So it's been awesome watching you over these years. So, Matthew, thank you for everything you're doing for V2I, for our community, for the military folks out there. And thanks for coming on the show to share it all. Cause, it's no small feat, what you're accomplishing, and you're definitely having a huge impact on the community. And on behalf of the entire VET S.O.S family, we want to thank everyone for spending their time with us today. It's always great having you along for the ride. Don't forget to check out, I'm stumbling this time, Don't forget to see that caffeine. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. Now I'm coming off of it. Anyway, don't forget to check out all of our other episodes and keep coming back for more stories, insight, and support from the VET S.O.S crew. If you enjoyed this episode, give us a follow, share the show, and tell a friend or two. Toss your battle buddies, fire team, shipmates, and wingmen that flotation device they need in transition so no one drowns in the sea of transition. And as always, grab the VET S.O.S Lifeline.